Guys, people thought Christmas came early if you're an Orioles fan. And you guys know my opinion on this because I never thought that the Orioles were going to leave. But it has people relax a little bit. We're talking about the Orioles and the state of Maryland have come to an agreement, or it's been approved, that the Orioles lease is for at least the next 15 years with the option to be 30 years, contingent on the plan that if the Orioles are satisfied with the development areas around the stadium, they can then opt into the 30-year deal. If not, then they'll have to reassess at 15. But guys, massive news. People are excited about it, but let's just be honest here. I'm going to say this. The team was never going to leave Baltimore. I know that this is something. Actually, Rock, we talked about this when we were recording the newest episode of Rip and Rock, that I think a lot of people, there was so much anxiety that was building up over this. When we met, Rocco, was actually when we were talking about this last March in 2022.
I was telling you this. We were talking about it on Rip and Rock that I had a Nashville station, our sister station for Sinclair in Nashville, reach out to me about doing a story on a potential move to Nashville for the Orioles because of the feud between the Angelos brothers, John and Louie. So that whole thing, I had to talk about that. And I was just basically like, I was laughing when they came to me with that. Obviously, I get why, because it pertains to your region. It pertains to Nashville. But in my head, I'm like, the Orioles are never leaving Baltimore to go to Nashville. They're never leaving Baltimore in general. Like, I had no doubt in my mind. But with everything that happened over the last year and how long it took, I can understand why fans felt the way that they did. And there was so much uncertainty because you had John Angelos in spring training saying that it was probably going to be a mid-July, probably all-star break present for fans. They were going to get the lease done by then, or at least that was the hope. And then you had Angelos in the clubhouse after the Orioles had clinched a postseason berth, committing 30 more years to the team verbally. Then you had the lease agreement that wasn't the lease agreement.
The Clinchmas
when the
miracle.
Orioles clinched the AL East. You had John Angelos, you had Governor Westmore in the suite, and you had that it was Orioles agreed a new 30-year lease, but that was like a memorandum of understanding. That wasn't an actual like lease agreement. Then you had everything that happened last week. It was like an emotional roller coaster. It was the report that it was agreed to, then the pause because there was some pushback from key lawmakers. And then on Thursday, it was like, okay, this is it. I know that Orioles fans, you guys still were holding your breath over the weekend because it was like, God forbid something happens. God forbid somebody's ticked off and somebody doesn't want this lease to happen. How much longer do we have to wait? Because the current lease was set to expire December 31st.
Yeah.
So the fact that they got it done today, you know, you can check this one off your wish list. It's a big day for Baltimore. It's a big day for the state of Maryland, and it's a big day for Birdland.
I think people forget that Baltimore, it's so deep rooted. And actually, if we're going to go back in the history of this area and region, think about it this way. Baltimore was really devastated when the Colts moved, right? And that still resonates with so many people today. There's still a resentment for the Colts in Baltimore. And in the area, the two teams that were always around, which is the Commanders, formerly the Redskins, and then the Baltimore Orioles, right? So there's a lot of people in this region, even with the Nationals that came to town, that those are the two fan bases, right? I think that people right now, it's that anxiety. It's something like you just need that reassurance. Like say you're scared to death, but you know everything's okay. You know everything's okay, but you need someone to keep telling you, and you need to see it. So if you're scared and you're a kid that maybe the boogeyman's in the closet, you got to go open the closet and prove that nothing's there. Check the whole room. I think that's for Oriole fans. They needed to see the lease signed, and it was signed, sealed, and delivered. And Zach, I mean, you're right on the streets of Twitter and X. I mean, it felt like a lot of people, there was just this huge relief.
Yeah.
That finally cast over.
Yeah. And that's actually what I was just going to say. I don't necessarily think there was much celebration as much as there was just relief, because as Rocco brought up, on Clinchmas, they put up
love that
the big Clinchmas. They put up the big sign, on the scoreboard. Westmore and John Angelos were in-house. The Orioles and Camden Yards have agreed to a 30-year lease. There was the excitement. That was the peak. Boom. This is awesome. Then you had it's not really like an official lease. I mean, it's more like we're gonna get it
The
done.
lease that wasn't a lease.
Yeah. Then you go by a few months. Then you have the next lease signing. We've agreed to a lease. Boom, sign, seal, deliver. Hour and a half later. Okay, maybe it's not actually signing the lease. And then we got today. And as much as I thought I was going to see the notification that it was unanimously voted on, and it was going to be this big celebratory, like, oh my God, we did it. The Orioles are in town for 30 more years. I saw it and I was like, about damn time.
Yeah, but I want to preface this. I think that because I finally got Instagram Live, I think working, by the way, guys. I think
Did you not have it? I think you were up on the whole time.
No, I don't think I was. But anyway, I've seen some parts about, yes, we did discuss that it is a 15-year lease with the option to opt in for another 15 years. I think for anyone, they just wanted a little bit of time for stability. This isn't going to be perfect, right? We know that there are so many other, the reason why this kept having hiccups is because it felt like just no one could get on the same side, at least for now, at least for this next decade and a half. That Baltimore is going to have a team and and you're hoping this next decade is going to be the best Orioles baseball that they've had in years. I mean, we're talking about over the last 40 years since the Orioles won the World Series in 1983. We've talked about it before, 6 times in the postseason. Yep, we are aware of that. Not back to the World Series once, but during that time specifically, there was a 5-year window with Buck Showalter where this team was exciting. 5 straight years, you felt like they could do something, right? You're hoping for this Orioles team this last year or 2 years, if you consider 2022, is going to stretch over this next decade. And at least for that, at least while that this team is in position to be very competitive, that this is all going to be happening at one of the best ballparks in all of the world in the sport. It really is beautiful. And this ballpark actually, that was the blueprint for everyone else.
Can we get another All-Star game back here now?
Yeah.
I know. What the hell?
Can we start the petition to bring back an All-Star game to Baltimore? I know, I get it. I mean, it's not even Safeco Field anymore. In Seattle, they've had 2 All-Star games in the last 22 years. Baltimore hasn't had since 1993, since the birth of yours truly. No, so you were born in 93 too, right, Rock?
Yeah, I thought that's who you were talking about when you said yours truly.
Well, we know Zach was born in about 2003.
I was going to say, when Rock was talking about taking your kids to Memorial Stadium, I was like, nah, that wasn't around. No. I was like, I've never been. Not once.
Yeah.
Just talking in general.
Yeah, well, we know that there's so many different decisions that go behind with the.
Can we talk the name change?
Wow, out of the 4 of us, I'm the only one that actually stepped foot in Memorial Stadium. That's kind of crazy.
Well,
I'm old.
Yeah, I was going to say, okay, age yourself. We're just flexing the.
I mean, I was a kid, but I was there. I saw both Ripkens play in that stadium. By the way, remember that?
Ooh,
Ryan and Cal.
Yeah, Ryan was taking BP.
Ryan didn't exist.
Yeah, I know.
Just kidding.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. But hey, Zach, talk real quickly. Just put people. Just explain a little bit about the naming rights to the stadium are up, quickly. But just explain quickly.
Yeah, quickly. Pretty much, it does not matter. The naming rights for the stadium, they can pursue to have a different name for the stadium. But I want to be clear, Camden Yards is not the name changing. It's the Oriole Park part. And this is still, if this even happens. So let's just say the example I've been using is Old Bay. Let's say Old Bay gets a sponsorship. It would be Old Bay Park at Camden Yards. So you can still call it the Yard. You can still say we're going to Camden Yards. It will not change. It's like Heinz Field and Acrisure. People still call it Heinz Field. Like, it's going to be the same stadium.
Arrowhead. Go Geehaw Field at Arrowhead Stadium.
Yes, everyone calls it Arrowhead.
Yep.
It will still be Camden Yards. It does not matter if they give up the naming rights to the first part.
Should do like an ESPN zone at Camden Yards or something like that. Bring back ESPN zone. I just had that on my mind all day.
The Ryan Ripken Show at Camden Yards.
That's just, I mean, that's got a ring to it. But
yeah. The house that Rip built.
I love that. It's gonna be weird to not say Oriole Park at Camden Yards though. Like I feel like it's always gonna.
Opacity.
Yeah.
And once again,
always-
this is only if it happens. This is not. They've been looking into this for quite some time now. So
I don't know about you guys, but like you say Oriole Park at Camden Yards, like I've always, like my whole life, I've just called it Camden Yards.
yeah,
Like it's just been like,
Mhm.
I know there are people that call it
Opacity.
Yeah, Opacity, or just like, or some people
it's
say the whole
Camden
thing,
Yards.
but it's just like
The
it's
yard.
Camden Yards.
It's the yard.
Camden
Camden Yards.
It's still going to stay the same. It's
Yeah.
still going to be Camden Yards.
Yeah.
That's it.
People are getting too worried about something that, one, is just a potential thing that could happen, and two, isn't really even going to affect it. So Camden Yards.
Ripken Field at Camden Yards.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that at all.